and welcome to Schmidtless Live. I'm Kurt Schmidt, president and partner at Foundry, and today's show is meant to inspire and educate leaders in technology and design. Well, it's a winter wonderland outside, so first off, I want to say Merry Christmas to everyone. And it is, even though it's October, today I'm really excited to have Paul DeBeddings with me. He is the Minnesota headhunter. He is the guy who's been doing recruiting in the technology and design scene in the Twin Cities for the last, 300-400 years. So we're going to talk to him today about best practices for using LinkedIn, and I'm really excited to talk to him because we've got a bunch of slides to go through too. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if this show gives you some helpful content, and we are open for comments and questions. So go ahead and chat away. We look forward to hearing from you. But let me jump right into introducing Paul. Paul, how are you today?
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas in mid-October. Look, I love the holidays. I love Thanksgiving. I love Christmas. I love them in November and December, not mid-October.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And here we are.
So other than that, I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. Well,
good to see you again.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me. So today we're going to be talking about best practices for LinkedIn. Obviously, as you and I know, and probably a lot of the people watching knows, that LinkedIn has become kind of the all-encompassing place for anything career, job hunting, recruiting, business development. It's become really kind of that crux, an important part of how we do business today. And so, Paul, tell us a little bit about your background. As I mentioned, you've been doing recruiting since the Stone Age. So tell me a little bit more about
400 years. Thank you, friend. I appreciate that. Why is my gray hair? Oh, it does kind of show a little bit more, doesn't it? Maybe it's it's because of the snow reflecting from outside.
Yeah, just a bit.
Paul DeBeddings, also known as Minnesota headhunter. Been technology, product, digital design, security recruiter since it's actually 1998, but not 200 or 300 years. One of the things I wanna slightly filter with what you just said, if I may, since you're the host, with your permission.
Please.
I think that LinkedIn is the hub, but I don't think it's the end all be all. I think what happens is that people treat it as it's the only thing. I think that some people think that if I just post and have a profile on LinkedIn, I'm going to find a job, and that's just not the case. And so it is like, I think of it as a bike tire. It's the hub. But I also, let's also, like, for the job seekers, it is not the only tool I as a recruiter use. I do not live and breathe on this all day. Now, because of COVID-19, we are spending more time now than we would have 7 months ago, or hopefully 6 months from now.
Sure. Because
it is the place to congregate. But I think that, that my clients, or who I work with, and then the internal corporate recruiters, it's not the only source. It is the main hub, but it's not the only place to be. So I just want to put some flavor to that.
No, I appreciate that. Okay, so I want to jump right in with our tips for best practices on using LinkedIn. And Paul,
also known as the slide deck I gave you 10 minutes ago.
That's right. Yes. Well, we got the slide deck here, and so here we are doing the show, and that's what I'm guessing this slide is, right?
Skip
as
that.
You mentioned, you do not only recruiting as a professional, but you do a lot of social media outreach. You do a lot of speaking events, and then obviously mentorship as well, which I think is awesome. All right, so let's talk about recovery. Paul, tell me about this. What are we looking at here?
So I want to set the frame. I want to set some framework for the conversation. So as we're doing this, right? It's the middle of October. We're into Q3. Where are we at with the recovery of the economy, right? So it was in the spring, people were saying it was going to be a V-shaped economy, come down, or a recession, come down fast, go back up fast. Clearly not the case. There was the U, that come down, stay for a while, go back up. Not the case. There was the W, also known as the double dip recession or the head fake. Not sure about that one. There's the L, which is actually the hockey stick. We're going to skip the K for the moment. The L was like, it's going to stay flat for a while, come back. The Nike swoosh, similar, only a little flatter. There are two sort of, by the way, I have a PhD in armchair economics from CNBC and Bloomberg. So for some perspective, The current theory is the square root. The square root says that the economy is going to come back and flatten for a while.
Okay.
That is where we are. This is the wait and see, right? Wait and see what happens with school coming back. Wait and see what happens with the election. Wait and see what happens when it gets cold north of the Mason-Dixon line, snows in the middle of October. Wait to see what the economy does after the first of the year. And then the K is the stock market came back, but the economy didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we are, K and square root. So
sure.
The idea is that where we are is likely where we're going to be for some time, which is not all that great if you're actively looking for a job and struggling with it.
Okay, let's move on.
I don't mean to be that doom and gloom, by the way.
No, it's fine. We're here for honesty, Paul.
I think that for anyone who's doing a job search now, you also need to be thinking about you're going to be doing one 18 months from now. The job that you're going. Yep, the job that you're going to find today, November, before the holidays, during the holidays. We don't know exactly what's going to happen with the company that you're going to land in or with. We don't know what their first half of 2021 is going to be like. It's also the idea that you may be taking a job that may not be the perfect job, your dream job now, because you need to get paid, you need to put money in your checking account. And so if I'm doing a job search now, I'm also in my brain saying, okay, I'm going to be preparing to be doing one for 18 months from now.
So all the networking positives was what you're saying.
No, I think a lot of people are going to be taking a for now.
Okay.
Right. It's sometimes people do that in their dating life. This might not be the one, but I'm good for now.
I'm good for now.
Might be good. Might be some people's job search here, or their next place where they land.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. I think that's smart advice. Again, I always tell people don't give up your career for a job, right? So got to be thinking ahead.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about this. How visible am I to recruiters?
So LinkedIn, much as when you're doing a search in Google, and maybe you're like going to say, I'm going to go to Nashville and I want to go to Music Row and I'm looking for a hotel and maybe a car to rent, right? Google's going to spit back to you search results based on both what you're searching for, but also the SEO, the search engine optimization of those websites. It's actually how LinkedIn works too. So in order for you to have an all-star profile, you need to have those things that are listed on the slide. And it does matter. These things are all easily attainable, right? You can get a photo. Please don't get a profile photo that has you against like my gray wall back there that makes it look like you just got arrested, right? No mug shots. Even if you're home now, like get one with you and your laptop or your computer working or you standing up. You get what I mean? Like have something that looks a little professionalish. For those of you who are employed, or when you get back into the office, like get a photo ahead of time that has you working, you doing whatever it is you do.
Yep.
Having the things like having a summary, having your industry and your location, all of these things on this are pretty basic. The two that are probably the most difficult for folks to do are the 50 connections and the 3 recommendations. The 50 connections thing, a lot of people will say, I know, Kurt, that almost everybody you and I know has way past the 500. But when people are just getting started with LinkedIn, they tend to go, well, I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Or if you're a recent college grad, a recent boot camp grad, for those of our friends in the product tech space, they may not yet have a network. And so the idea is, but you really do know people. By the time you start figuring out friends and family and like your uncle's neighbor and whoever you knew and your professors in college, you're going to get past 50.
Yep.
And then to get 3 recommendations, most people say, like, I don't have anybody recommending me. Well, that's okay, because go out and recommend 6 people. 3 of them will give you 1 back. And so it does matter for all the things that we're about to talk about, like how to optimize a profile and those things. It's the idea that you want to be able to rank as high in the search results as does that hotel in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, you want to. I think that connections part is really important because, again, I've instructed people, just like you said, go out and look for peers. Say, hey, I'm new to user experience and I want to grow my network with other professionals and. You look like you've got a great portfolio or something and just connect with more and more people, build up that network of peers, people who have the same job description you either have or want, right? And just keep building that and make it part of a regular weekly or even daily routine to keep building that network. And I get messages from people that are like, well, I don't normally connect with people I haven't met in person. Well, that worked a year ago, and it's kind of moot now. And I've also had people bring up the privacy issue, Paul. As you probably heard me and Laura talk on the last
Yep.
show, they have some concerns about how much they expose to the rest of the world. I mean, what's your take on that?
So in this scenario, your job is to find a job, or you're going to be doing a job search, right? We know some of the people who are going to hear this are gainfully employed, will be proactively doing a job search. They're looking for LinkedIn help. Others are like, I'm looking for one today. Your job is to find a job, and so you have to use this tool as best you can. I appreciate, but we're not doing Facebook here, right? Yes, everything on LinkedIn is public, or it should be. You should be having your profile be public, just like Laura said. By the way, Laura King, a peer colleague, friend of mine here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. This isn't a look. I used to joke. I haven't used this phrase in a while. I suffer from the Minnesota nice, passive aggressive, Scandinavian Lutheran upbringing that it's not polite to promote myself syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay, is all bullshit when you're trying to find a job.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to say, here's what I did. Here's how I performed. Here's how I grew that email list. Here's how I've saved money, cut costs, made something more efficient. Like, this is what the tool is for. And so I appreciate that maybe we don't want to boast, or maybe we don't want to like give up some of our, like, here's how I did something, but this is the thing that pays for everything else in your life, right? Like I keep saying, like your house payment, your car payment, your student loans, taking care of your parents, taking care of your kids, the traveling you want to do, all comes down to your job. And what happens is we normally don't take care of these things, the job part, until something really bad happens.
Right.
And you and I want to have a conversation to folks about, like, here's how to help those who are looking for a job today, but how to like maintain this network, right? I always use this idea of a boat. You know, I'm huge into fishing into lakes, not into the lakes, but fishing and lakes. I'll try to not to, like, I swear I'm slurring my words. I'm talking so fast, my brain's going a million miles an hour. The idea is that most of us have like a rotted old fishing boat with a hole in it on shore, and that's our network, right? We only deal with it when we need to. And what I'm suggesting to you is you need to have that 30-foot boat on Lake Minnetonka that everybody's like, damn, that looks sweet. It needs to be your network all the time. It needs to be your network for when you're doing your job search now, for your career path later, because maybe you also are going to get into a management role and you need to help hire people at a future date. It's going to be you being a hub to your network and the people, the friends, the people that are in your life.
Yeah.
I appreciate the privacy stuff. Be private on Facebook. Don't post all your stuff on Twitter and Instagram if you don't want to. This is not the time to be shy.
I love it. Okay, let's move on.
You asked a simple question and there I ranted.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. Let's talk about recommendations. Why are those important, Paul?
Well, first of all, it's just the idea that someone says something nice about you, right? It is the idea that someone says that Kurt Schmidt, the folks at Foundry, do amazing work, and I can't wait to be able to work with them again. It matters. Well, first of all, the 3 matters because that gets into the all-star thing anyway, right? I don't have a lot of recommendations on LinkedIn. It's actually like the weakest part of my profile. I don't ask for them and I don't give them, and I'll write you one just so you know. You give me a lot of advice over the years.
This is being recorded, just so you know.
No, that's for the record. Yeah. And I'll even say right now on the record that since it's the 20th, I'll do it before Friday, which is like the 3rd. Because every time I give you a timeline and you threaten bodily violence on me, I seem to get it done right away.
Yeah, well, that's how friendship works.
But we need people. Again, it's no different than how do you buy a car, where you ask someone who was a good car salesperson you worked with.
Yep.
How you find an attorney, an accountant.
You ask for recommendations.
Yeah, and so we need to have people. This is assuming you've done good work and people want to promote you, right? Let's assume that to be the case. And if you have, then you need to get these things. I'm trying not to keep ranting.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, let's move on. So the social selling index, this is a part of LinkedIn that it's fairly new, right? I mean, it's only been around for what, a year or 2 or something?
It's been around for 2 to 3 years by now. It's just that most people don't know anything about it. So that's why I included the link on it to this. And if we can somehow, if it's the show notes, if you want to
post it. Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes. Yep. So tell me about the social selling index. Why should I care about this?
So this is a part of how LinkedIn is ranking you. So this is a part of how is my profile, how is my activity and my actions on LinkedIn. This is their scorecard for you. Mm-hmm. And so understand that I'm a tech recruiter. While not living and breathing LinkedIn, I'm at least on it at least a couple times a day. I'm posting a few times a week. I am doing searches. I am sending messages to folks. And so my score, so while it says like I'm in the top 4%, the top 7%, yeah, that's pretty good. Reason why I'm saying this, or my score is 72 of 100, is because some people are going to click on this right now and their score is going to be 28 and they're going to freak. That's not the goal for this. The goal for this is for you to understand how this matters, how LinkedIn works.
Yeah.
And again, this idea is I'm hoping that you and I can make a permanent impact on a few folks. That it's not just how do we use LinkedIn today to find a job, but how do we actually use LinkedIn as a tool professionally going forward. So your score, like if it's a 28, get it to 35, and then get it to 42, and then get it to 50. You don't have to be in the top 3%, the top 3 percentile, as if like, okay, now I have failed and no one likes me. Like that's not the deal. But again, this is the hub, and this is where almost everybody starts. So that's just take a look at the score and see how you can make the improvements. And they give you there's four parts to the score. Obviously the one I've nailed it and the other one I'm a little weak on. And again, these are things that I try to work on now and again. I don't spend all day thinking about it.
Sure, but it's something to pay attention to.
By any chance, did you click on yours yet? Or did I not get this to you in time?
No, I haven't clicked on mine. I mean, I've looked at it before. I just was like, okay, there's the numbers. Thanks.
I'm just frankly wondering if I'm kicking your ass or not, but I'm just wondering.
Well, we could check that at the end of the show. Okay.
If you're going to write a LinkedIn profile, go find folks that are like you, peers, colleagues, people you worked with, people that you want to get to be like in a career or in a job, and start borrowing from the profiles. But don't copy paste, right? So in my recruiter world, frequently, if you're going to write a tech job description, you're going to go to Stack Overflow and copy some other company's job description, essentially then make it yours. Okay, this is not the time to do that. Look at LinkedIn profiles. First, look at your own. Like, look at your own LinkedIn profile and say, would I want to connect with me? Usually, the answer is no, right? They tend to not be up to date. They tend not to have enough information. They tend to not be thoughtful or informative enough. So find someone who's like you. Find someone where you can go, oh, I now get the feel for this. I now get how it is I want to sound, that whole idea of like tone, tenor. This is how I can be more confident, because now you're seeing someone else do it, emulate them a little bit, and just borrow the bits and pieces that fit for you and then make it your own. Because what happens is, I don't know about you, Kurt, but you know me well enough because you've given me enough advice over the years. I despise talking about me. I despise promoting me. And I hate the word hate. I hate doing it. It's bad. So I have at times, right? I will look at someone else's bio. I will look at someone else's LinkedIn profile and be like, okay, I need a bit of a facelift. I need a bit of a makeover. And I'll be like, oh, that sounds really cool. And now I know how I would say it. Mm-hmm. But if I got to create it from scratch, it's weeks.
Yeah.
It'll take me 2 weeks to come up with anything.
Yeah.
So borrow, make it your own.
Yep.
Do you write your own stuff?
Oh yeah.
How do you do it though? Does it come naturally?
I would say, I get inspired from different places, but yeah, I mean, for the most part, for my profile things, a lot of it has come from the recommendations, where I just kind of, oh, that's a nice recommendation, and I kind of format it in a way that helps explain my job or my role when I was working with that person. So I've used the recommendations before as kind of a writing prompt to say this was my impact at these places. So it's worked out. That part works out really well.
You're just not as shy as me anyway, right?
Maybe. Well, I am doing a YouTube live show right now. Okay.
That's true.
So while focusing on a full-time role, I am open to contract part-time work. So tell me about this.
So again, coming out of a recession, even though this one's different than the previous. So this is my third, right? So I started recruiting in 98. So I saw the post Y2K, then the 9/11 recession, and then the Great Recession from 2008 to 2009, 10, depending on who you are. Usually coming out of recessions, companies will hire part-time contractors, consultants first before they're going to invest in full-time employees. So the idea is, and I think I have one I think it's the next slide if you want to click up to it. The idea is that I'm a senior marketing pro seeking full-time and contract opportunities. Here's the thing. I am all about people getting paid right now. Get paid for doing good work, of course, but you may right now find that you can get 2 15 or 20 hour a week gigs that are going to get you to write 30 or 40 hours. Maybe you're working 45 hours. And minus the benefits part, though, at least your checking account is going to look similar to what it looked like 7 months ago or 4 months ago before you were laid off or furloughed. This is also, to go further into this, companies will they may need someone to do 20 hours a week worth of accounting work. They're not to 30 or 40 hours yet. So find those. This is the part we're going to get to some search strings here in a few minutes. Here's why I have these hesitations in my voice, Kurt. And I'm guilty of it. And you and I were talking a little bit about this in the pre-show. We're just not being aggressive enough.
Yeah.
I'm not being aggressive enough. You and I have had conversations, and I'm not shy about putting this on YouTube, that my business during this, whatever the fuck this is, I just bleeped myself if you didn't notice.
Yeah, that's good.
One of the last people you want to be in a recession is a recruiter and HR person. Because if companies aren't hiring, they don't need you. And you're always the canary in the coal mine. You are the first to get let go, but by the way, you're also the first to come back. But like, it's kicking my tail. I have not been aggressive enough in my business development stuff. And that's my version of doing a job search.
Yep.
Most people are not being aggressive enough. And so that's why I have these fits and spurts while you and I have already had this conversation that, like, for the love of gold to gopher, like we have to get, it's our job to find a job. It's our job to bring in revenue to our household. And so if I have to cobble together 3 part-time gigs, that's what I need to do.
Yep.
I usually work with 2 or 3 clients at a time. I'm now putting together 5 or 6 because not all the groups that I used to work with need me in the totality that I used to be.
Sure.
They will when this is over or whatever's next or whatever the other side of this means. But in the short run, that means I'm going to be writing career pages and job descriptions, and I would rather be doing recruiting strategy and talent funnels. But at the end of the day, I need to work, right? So I'm going to let companies know that while looking for a full-time, if I were a full-time employer, that because I've been jaded for 20 plus years of being on my own. But if I'm looking for a full-time recruiting opportunity, that's what I'm going to say. Like, I'm looking for a senior IT recruiter while looking for a full-time role. I'm open to contract and project work. Because what happens is if I don't say it, no one's going to offer it to me.
Well, yeah, back to your point about being aggressive, right? So some of the people I know that maybe are out of work and are interested maybe in this thing, they say things like, well, I'm not a salesperson and I don't like to sell. I don't like to do all this stuff, but it's really an act in building awareness, not selling. It's building to your point, if I have it in my headline that says, I'm seeking these opportunities, and then you are engaging on LinkedIn, you're building your network, you're asking for recommendations, you're sharing and liking posts, you're connecting with peers and recruiters and all those things. You're building awareness around that headline, right?
So I think of it as like you're in a forest and you're trying to leave a popcorn trail so you can get back out. In this case, you're trying to lead people to you, right? If I drop this, that I'm looking for an opportunity, if I'm talking about recruiting and HR, and I'm talking about startups, and I'm talking about job and economic statistics, and I talk about that I'm doing this podcast, this live show with you, people are going to go, oh, Paul's active as a tech recruiter. He understands what's going on. He gets what's going on in his community. He's active and he's involved. Maybe this is someone we want to have represent us as we're doing our recruiting coming out of a recession.
Yep.
And so this is the part where, yes, I need to be taking my own advice.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. I love it. Okay, so status updates, phone screens and interviews, researching digital agencies, fun chats, reading, post links. So this is basically your LinkedIn feed is what you're talking about here.
Yep. So
and
these
the
are
types of
status
things
updates.
you should be. Sorry,
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. So I saw Kurt Schmidt. I would do a status update that would be like, I saw the LinkedIn sort of part 1 with Kurt Schmidt and Laura King, and I took this one bit of information away, and here's the link. I'm going to tag you and Laura on it so that when someone sees my status update, they're going to go, oh, hey, maybe I'm going to go check out Kurt, or maybe I'm going to go check out Laura, because I think that's my job, is to promote others while I'm promoting me, right?
Well, and it goes both ways too. Is that
Yes.
if it becomes popular enough, the social spread, how LinkedIn's
Yep.
working these days, their network sees now you
Yep.
sharing their content, right?
And so we know that we're reading articles all the time. Well, most people are reading articles at least some of the time, right? They're seeing something in the Minneapolis Star Tribune. They're seeing something on TechCrunch. They're seeing something on a UX design
Yep.
site, sales and marketing, whatever it might be.
Yep.
And
Something
the
within
idea,
their industry.
and so say, hey, here's a cool article. Go check it out, and tag
Hmm.
the author too, by the way. Like, promote them. And so again, so the people will go, oh, hey, like, this is again sort of this is what Paul's thinking about. This is what Paul's reading. This is what Paul's learning more about. And for people to go, oh, this is someone who we want to have a conversation with.
Well, and also it's you're aligning yourself with those people, because if you're a a junior developer, but you're posting tons of things from Netflix senior developers and Google
Yep.
senior developers, and sharing the things that you're putting yourself in the same room as them, versus right, like and that you're thinking the same way that these folks are thinking.
So here's the idea: when someone applies for a role at Foundry. By the way, you all are still hiring, right?
Oh, of course, we're always hiring.
Okay, so let's say a full stack developer applies for a role. I'm guessing at some point in time you're probably going to go check out their LinkedIn profile. I'm guessing at some point in time you're probably going to go check out the status updates that they've been posting.
Yep, yep. I'm going to check out their LinkedIn profile. I'm going to check out their activity feed, and I'm going to Google them.
So this is the part about if this is the part about you and I doing the show, then, right? If we're going to pull the curtain back, like we're like the Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
like this is how we do our job. So this is what you and I do, though. We want to know, what is someone speaking about. So on the candidate side, I need to be showing the stuff that I am doing. Otherwise, like, I can't read someone's mind if I'm in the hiring space.
Well, and that's why, because it's more important these days, because we don't have the body language to read
Yes.
from folks, that we, from a cultural perspective, to ensure that you're going to be a good fit, we've got to get a good idea of how you're putting yourself out there in the world, because I can't have you come in and I can call referrals, right? I can pick up the phone and call people you've worked with, but I don't want to do that. That's a pain in the butt. It's easier just to Google you and see what what you're putting out in the world, and get a good idea of, do I want you to bring that to my company?
And let's take it a step further. I just call it social creeping, right?
Sure.
It's no different than the restaurant you're going to go to, the date that you're going to go out with on Friday night. You're, as a job seeker, right? We're going to creep on the hiring manager. We're going to creep on who's going to be interviewing us. We need to be aware then, as job seekers, that you're creeping on me. And so I need to have some content. I need to have some flavor to me online.
Yep. All right.
That's some more stuff. You can skip that one.
Okay, I'm gonna skip.
Like, this is an example of like what someone should be doing. So again, like, John isn't a job seeker, at least last I knew. So this should be clear. And this is from a few months ago. This was this summer. But like, this is a senior software engineer saying, and I'm also doing further education. And like,
Yeah.
and here's the actual social proof, right?
Yep.
In our careers, we should be never-ending learners. And so when you are taking a class, when you are getting a certificate, when you are, you need to be telling people about this, right? We want to, I don't know about you. Well, actually, I do know about you, but I won't speak for you. That you want people who are curious.
Yeah.
You want people who are learning. You want people who are having some new thoughts, new ideas that can bring new things to your company. And so this is, again, the idea of John's putting out there that he is managing his career. He's learning more. It makes him a more marketable candidate one day.
100%. I totally agree with that. And, again, like, I love that he's got like hashtag 2020 goals. So it's obvious that he's forward thinking. He's not just driving by the hood of the car. He's thinking, he's looking further down the road. So absolutely a great fit for what we're doing. All right. So LinkedIn flirting. I like the, I like the approach here, Paul.
I don't know if the only other way is, besides calling it LinkedIn flirting is like narcissist 101. Here's the thing. I don't know about you or anyone else who's going to listen to this, but I look to see who has looked at me on LinkedIn. I do it for two reasons. I'm looking for trends. Frequently, as a recruiter, right, who's active, highly active online, I almost always know when there's going to be a layoff, because usually about a week ahead of time, I'll see like 10 people from XYZ large company look at my LinkedIn profile. And I'll be like, ooh, that's a trend. So here's the thing. If I'm a job seeker, and let me stay in our product world for a moment that you and I live in. If I am a UX designer and I'm looking for a job, and I'm watching Netflix tonight, I'm going to take one of the search strings that we've got coming up here in a moment, and I'm going to do a search for like head of product, director of product marketing, chief product officer, and I'm going to start clicking on profiles. Like, I'm not even going to probably read a lot of them, frankly. I'm just going to click on them, because I know that some of those folks are going to come back and click on me like, who's this person checking out my profile? Oh, hey, they're a UX designer. I now can reach out to you, and it's not a cold call or a cold email or cold in-mail. I now know that Kurt checked me out, not in that sense. I now know, though, that Kurt knows who I am. And so if I reach out and say, hey, Kurt, my name is Paul DeBettings. I saw I saw that you looked at my LinkedIn profile. I want to reach out to you because I'm doing a job search. I see that you're hiring in the Twin Cities. I see that you rank really well. I see that Foundry has a really good reputation. Whatever I'm going to say. It's an easy lead-in now. It's not me reaching out cold.
Yeah,
so I don't know what
shown interest in that person.
Yeah, and so I don't know what to call besides LinkedIn flirting, because please, for the love of all things Goldie Gopher, do not, because it's happening right now, do not, I'm speaking to the fellows who will hear this, LinkedIn is not a dating site, and I'm going to stop my rant because there's some F-bombs behind this, but it's happening now. Like, there are a lot of blog posts, there are a lot of women speaking out about what's happening on LinkedIn now. I don't mean it this way. Please don't mistake what I'm saying. But the idea is this, is I know that if I'm clicking on a bunch of CTOs while I'm watching the Vikings game on Sunday while they're being pummeled by the 0-5 Falcons, that if a CTO then comes back, they click on my profile because they see who's this guy. I can now reach out and say, hey, my name is Paul DeBettings. I'm a technology recruiter in town. I saw that you all are hiring. I've seen your career page. Can we have a conversation about blah, 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 blah? As a job seeker, this is an easy tool then for me to be able to have an easier conversation, because a lot of us don't want to sell and a lot of us don't want to cold call or cold email. This is a way to warm things up.
Yeah, I love it.
That was a long answer. I'm so sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. All right. Keywords, buzzwords, acronyms, like AWS.
The idea is this. Again, LinkedIn works like Google does. So I need to, if in my industry, so it could be SEO, should also be spelled out search engine optimization. Because I don't know what a hiring manager, a recruiter, a CEO of a startup is going to be searching for. So that's why I have AWS and Amazon Web Services. I need to have both in my profile. Because if I only have Amazon Web Services and they're searching AWS, I may not be seen. Well, I'm likely not going to be seen. So think of the things that are in your industry, your space in which you work, that you would normally drop a buzzword, keyword, or an acronym. Make sure you're spelling it out. You and Laura the two of you, I wrote it down. A phenomenal idea I hadn't thought of before. Take the job descriptions that you're looking at. So you're on Indeed, you're on LinkedIn, all of those job descriptions, copy and paste all that freaking content, put it in one document, then go to a site like Wordle, WORDLE, I think. The idea is you put it in there and it will, right, the words that are used the most will become the biggest.
Yep.
Now need to be part of your LinkedIn profile.
Exactly. Yep.
That was so brilliant. And I have thought, I did that 10 plus years ago and totally forgot about it. So I wrote it down like, this is going to be a blog post and I'm going to give you and Laura credit for reminding me of this. The content. SEO. Yeah. So this is that part of it, because I need to know what are the things that need to be in my resume or that need to be in my LinkedIn profile for me to appear higher in the search results.
Got it. Okay. Moving on.
Oh.
Yeah. Now here we go.
On this one?
Yeah. Here we go.
Do you want to dig into it? You ready?
I'm ready to dig into it. All right. What are we looking at here, Paul? What are we explain what we're looking at?
some people are not a big fans of the green ribbon open to work on LinkedIn profiles. I am. I'm a supporter. I'm a promoter of them. Here's why. If you're a corporate recruiter and you're looking for an accounting finance person, and you're going through search results, right? And you're seeing I'm thinking about like on LinkedIn, right? You're seeing the photo, right? Again, why to have a photo besides you're supposed to, but it's the first things you see. You see a photo, you see the person's name, you see what they do, and you see where they are. If my company's growing and growing fast, I'm going to check out the people who are actively, openly looking for a job today. Here's the thing. Sometimes during recession, sometimes companies lay off people who maybe are underperformers, maybe are overpaid. Like there's a stigma to being laid off or furloughed. This is not one of those times. You and I both know we've got companies in our town, in our region, in our state that have let go really talented people.
Mm-hmm.
And so we should not be assuming that just because someone is open to work means that like someone didn't like them or they were underperformers or they weren't someone we wanted in our company.
Yep.
As a corporate recruiter, I can shortcut and I can go, oh, hey, you're looking for, because I'm thinking I need to fill a role. I could have this knocked out in 3 weeks or less. I want to have people on me. The other thing is that it's our job to find a job and we should use all of the tools available to us. I'm going to stop there. What's your rebuttal?
Yeah, personally, I'm not a fan of it, and it's more of a personal choice, and let me be clear, it wouldn't turn me off from hiring somebody who had a green thing like that. I want to be clear, like it's not that. It's just more of a personal preference that I feel like you should, instead of putting green things around your stuff, you should be really focusing on everything we've already been talking about, getting those recommendations,
Absolutely.
putting content up there, getting that stuff. Yeah, sure. If you got an extra 5 minutes and you want to spend time doing that, great. But I would rather have you spend that time making sure that title says, seeking senior technical recruiter for the headline versus the open to work. For me, and again, maybe it's because I'm old. I kind of get.
Old. You're older.
No, sorry, because I'm
older. You're old,
older.
and I'm old too.
It does give me. It always has given me a confusing message of, am I a consultant? Am I looking for a full-time job? Open to work isn't as. And again, I'll stop here, but it just isn't as specific as I would like it when I'm looking for somebody to hire. And I guess that's my pet peeve with it. So we can leave it there and agree.
We'll agree to disagree. I still like you.
I know. I like you too. Okay, let's move on. Okay, what are we looking at here, Paul?
Because that's just how to get to it.
Oh, I see. Right. Got it.
And by the way, it's not 5 minutes. It's about 30 seconds.
Well, I'll put the link in there. Okay.
So this is a pre-built LinkedIn Boolean search string. All you'll have to do within the show notes is copy and paste. You have to be logged into your LinkedIn profile, right? Okay. Copy and paste this in. What we're searching for is CMO or Chief Marketing Officer, right? Remember I said earlier, we need to spell things out. So, or marketing manager, or VP of marketing. Know that on LinkedIn you can search for six words or phrases. 6. Okay. So in this one I have 4. You add a 5th, add a 6th. When someone's going to see this, like you just got to play around with this, because if you add in recruiting manager. Oh, you already have marketing manager, but you get what I mean? Like you start swapping out words and phrases, you're going to get different search results. Yep. That's going to give you a macro list. And so on that next slide, it's like so 19,000 search results. That's what it's going to look like. Mm-hmm. And so there's 2 reasons I have this in there. One is because here's the Twin Cities, right? So for those who are going to read that or are going to listen to this, you just swap out Minneapolis and St. Paul for Greater Austin, Greater Boston, Greater Seattle, whatever it is. This is universal. The idea is that when I started scrolling through the marketing ones particularly, there were a bunch of companies I'd never heard of. And so what happens is frequently we're all applying for the same jobs. We saw something on Indeed, we saw something on LinkedIn, but we forget that a lot of companies don't have a recruiter, they don't have an HR person, they don't have a subscription to Indeed. They may suck at recruiting.
More than
this likely. Is an opportunity, right? So this is the opportunity to be able to think about more companies than I would normally have been able to. The next slide then is you add a company name. In this case, I did DataSite, formerly, oh, what the heck was the formerly company name now? They were in St. Paul. You're going to now do, so it's the same search result and DataSite. Now you get 7 search results. Now I have someone who I can reach out to. And I didn't add that slide, by the way. You'll get the 7 search results of the people that I should probably reach out to.
Yep.
And then, so this is the same thing for recruiter and HR titles. There are 18,000 people with those words or phrases in their profile. And then you just add current company. Because what's happening, again, I said it earlier, all the time, that's not true. Many times people are doing an applicant tracking system. They're applying on the web portal and they're waiting. That's it. Stop. This is the part about being more aggressive. This is the part about being more active and engaged in your job search. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. Okay, we're almost to the end here. Okay. Tell me what I'm looking at here.
So now it's, you found the marketing manager at Best Buy in that particular group that you're applying for. Now, if you take the top one, within the asterisk, or within the quotes, asterisk, space at bestbuy.com, because it's Best Buy, right? You may have to go through like page 7 to finally find out that it's kurt.schmidt@bestbuy.com. So I took the earlier search string, added Best Buy. I know the person who I'm trying to contact. I now know their email address. So I'm going to reach out, hypothetically, Kurt Schmidt at Best Buy. I'm going to send an email and say, Kurt, my name is Paul DeBeddings. I applied for the whatever role at Best Buy.
Yep.
I understand you're the hiring manager for this role, and I wanted to reach out to you directly. This is a role I'm really interested in. I'd like to have a conversation with you about it. Is way better than submit and pray.
Yeah.
Right. Like, this is the part about take LinkedIn. Now go reach out to like people. Right. It's, again, I think my recruiter and HR industry, we've done everything we can to make it so that we don't actually ever have to talk to our candidates or weed them out before they can ever get to us. As a job seeker, I'm going to go after it.
And again, I've argued with people about this sort of exactly the tactic you're talking about, but it's like, don't say no for somebody else. Go ahead and email them and tell them why you're excited about this opportunity. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe they don't respond. That's fine too. But again, you're building awareness and you're staying top of mind. There's no downside to that.
So what people will sometimes say is, I'll hear like hiring managers or recruiting HR folks now and again go, that's aggressive. That's forward. First of all, if you're hiring a sales role in particular, aren't those the people you probably want to have an interview with? Like, you want the people who are going to reach out direct to the customer. It just happens to be that I'm the customer right now as a hiring manager. While they may say that they find that annoying, it's maybe 1 out of 10 times, 1 out of 20 times. But by the way, when they do their job search, they're doing it too.
Yep.
So it's the hypocrisy of, do as I say, not as I do sort of a thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Let's move on to the next one.
All the time, like, ask for advice and opinions. Don't ask for help. If I call you up and say, hey, will you help me move? The first thing you're thinking about is, how do I get out of that? If I ask you, hey, what moving company did you use? Or like, where can I rent a truck? Do you happen to know? Or when you did your move, you're going to have advice, right? It's also just in the age that we're in right now. Everybody's got advice or opinions on absolutely freaking everything.
They sure do.
Asking for help, right? Clearly, I'm not void of advice nor opinions while we're having this conversation today. But when you do the help thing, it's like an emotional attachment. Sometimes people feel like, okay, now I need to carry you, or I need to really walk you through this.
Right.
Now,
you just put your problems onto me.
So if someone says, hey, Kurt, if I were trying to find a job as a junior developer in town, do you have any advice for me? You're going to be like A, B, C, and go to XYZ company. And it's fast. And again, particularly for those of us in the Midwest, we're not going to say no to those things. We may not be able to reply back as fast or as we would want to.
Sure.
But no one's going to say, no, I'm not going to give you any advice on how to find a job, because you're just rude and you're an a-hole now.
That's right. Nobody wants to be that.
Take advantage of the Midwest passive-aggressive thing that we've got going on and ask people for advice and opinions.
Right. Okay, so adding a secondary non-work email address. Tell me why I need to do this, Paul.
So if Kurt Schmidt were not the president of Foundry, if Kurt were a middle marketing manager at a Fortune 500 company that's just done a downsize or a furlough, layoff, whatever word we want to use. And Kurt has, Kurt.Schmidt at XY.
My dream job is what you're describing, right?
Yes. If it's Kurt.Schmidt at xyz.com, and this is your primary email address, and you can't remember your password, and you go home to update your LinkedIn profile because you're now furloughed or unemployed, and you don't know your password, oh, this sucks, right? So good luck trying to get access back into your LinkedIn account. So add your Gmail, I don't care if you've got an old AOL account, whatever you got to use, add a secondary email address, because 10 years ago, you couldn't actually get your profile back. I mean, well, you could, but it was like an investigation. Now you need your driver's license, a photo, you need to match them up, and it takes about 3 to 7 days.
Yeah.
So this is just add another email address.
I think that's great.
When Kurt gets laid off, he can still have access.
It reminds me of something which might sound a little.
This is going to be good. You know how I know? Because you just put your hands on your side.
Which is, it might sound a little, but people judge you by your email address. So if you have a Yahoo or Hotmail or, like you said, an AOL thing, and you're trying to get a job in technology,
don't care.
People will judge you.
They will, but they shouldn't. I don't give up.
I know they shouldn't. But I coach so many people this year on just go get a Gmail address or something, and get away from a Hotmail address, because you're looking for, a senior role in a technology organization. I'm sorry, but I'm not judged. I don't judge people by that, but I know people who really do, and I've heard it before for years.
So let's be clear. I agree with you reluctantly. I think I don't care where somebody lives. I don't care what kind of car they drive, and I don't give a. That's my censoring of me. But their email who's hosting their email? I don't care. Now, yes, you should, if you can, get Kurt.Schmidt@gmail.com, or don't have goodtimeschmitty at gmail.com. So don't have
that's
that
what they used
one.
to call me in high school, Paul. That's so great.
Really? Good time Schmitty?
Oh, sure.
You were that guy. I've heard about you.
Yeah.
But so yes, and by the way, I don't have a slide in here, but you can also do this for your LinkedIn profile too. Get your personalized URL. So it's not a series of numbers and letters and half of your last name. For the ladies, you can, for those who may be going through a name change, either going in or coming out of a relationship or marriage, you can change it, I think, twice before, like, there's some super secret double probation thing you got to go through. But
right.
But do personalize your URL. So mine's linkedin.com/MNHeadhunter. Now I've had this conversation because I did this back in 2000 and, I don't know, 300 years ago, whatever it was that you said. What happens if I stop being in Minnesota? What happens if I stop being a headhunter? Well, thankfully, there's only 2 Paul DeBettings in the U.S. as far as I know, and the other one's 8 years old.
Perfect.
So I think I've got it covered.
Okay, good. All right, let's move on. All right, so
this is the last one, I think, right?
No, there's one more.
Is it really? No. Yeah.
All right.
Here's this whole thing. We got it. You've heard me say it offline. You've given me advice for the last 2 years. I would like to think that most days I'm pretty evolved at what I do. I'm pretty good at what I do. Like even there, I'm underselling me, right? We need to get better at telling our own stories, because if we don't do it for ourselves, who the hell is going to? And so your LinkedIn profile needs to say, I did this. I increased sales, cut costs, made something more efficient. Here's 100%. Why you want to hire me. And it's no different than when you have your role and you as president at Foundry need to be doing it too, right? You're gainfully employed, your job is safe, y'all are growing and everything is fine. But now a customer is going to look at Kurt Schmidt on LinkedIn, and Kurt's history of his work history, what you did previously, what you did at the Nerdery, what you did at XYZ, now what you've done at Foundry. I trust you more. Mm-hmm. I have faith and belief that you all, and because you're a best place to work, because that's going to be in your profile, and that you've been talking about how we've been growing and hiring and the podcast and all these things you do, I'm now going to be more likely to buy from you or proactively reach out to you and say, Kurt, can you all help me with my app or my website because it sucks?
Sure.
And this is the part about this doesn't end once you get a job.
Right.
This is about your credibility and you having a hub and for your career path. Like this can't just be for today and what we're going through right now.
No, and I've said it before. And if you struggle with telling your story, the best way to tell your story is to go and ask other people, what am I good
Yeah.
at? Ask people you
I
worked
love
with
that.
and ask them, what am I, when, if you were to tell me like what you really enjoyed about working with me at the past job, what would it be? Other people will help you tell your story. You don't have to sit there like you're some Ernest Hemingway, like, in a dark room and a quill trying to like come up with the next masterpiece. Like I mentioned, when I was telling my story, a lot of things I relied upon were those recommendations, were emails that I got from clients that told me what a great job I had done or the team had done, or a mix of both. Those people were telling my story. I just compiled all of that into something that is easily consumable into my summary and into my profile and those types of things. So you don't need to be, a John Grisham to write your own story. You need to be a better researcher and spend the time pulling that research out and then compiling it and presenting it in a great way, much like Paul's deck here today. Taking all of that research and putting it into an easy story for people to understand.
8 years ago, and I remember it exactly, and I'll keep his name out. You know him really well. He's a really solid person. Was a client of mine. He said, Paul, you were a really good recruiter for me and you did your job really well, but that wasn't the part that was the most beneficial to me. He goes, it was the part about you would answer that phone call. You would give me that advice. You could give me how to build a team. We would talk about how to better train staff. And to me, that was just second nature to me. I didn't really realize that was the thing that made me most valuable to him.
Yeah.
And that grew then. And when you talk about not having to be a Hemingway, I literally do. So behind there, I'm trying to do that. I have like 4 spots in my house that I work from. And I will frequently say, okay, I'm going to go work on Paul DeBetting's Minnesota headhunter client now. And I will physically pick up and move. And I will literally move and go sit down. Okay, now I'm going to go work on that client now. It just happens to be me. And that's how I've gotten better. I was going to say not as bad. I have slightly improved because I do truly, and you know this, struggle with talking about me, promoting me. Look, I'm a damn good recruiter. I do my job really well. I can help you source, recruit, hire, help you with the process and strategy, and be an advocate for you in the technology community because nobody knows who you are better than anybody else in this freaking town. And now I feel like I need to go take a shower because I feel weird and creepy that I just said that because it's just you and I.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing is like I always told people like, why I'm so different is because I'm a Gemini, right? Part of me thinks I'm a flaming piece of garbage. The other thing thinks I'm capable of anything. So totally different than everybody else. But it goes back to what we were just saying. Like, don't rely just on your own head to tell your story. Have other people help you tell your story and engage with them. And it's a great experience when you do it. And it's very fulfilling. And it allows you to take, yourself a little bit less seriously, because that's where I see when people are falling down with their resumes. When I review resumes, I see so many times I'm like, have you ever showed this to anybody who knows you? Because they would look at it and say, this doesn't sound anything like you. It sounds like you're half the much value as you actually are. And a lot of times people don't because there's this old like superstition around resumes that they're a legal document and they've got to be they've got to be able to be submissible in court, and you can't show them to your friends and family because they're you're giving away too much. Like it's just so ridiculous. So I urge people. I mean, I'd be happy if you want to reach out. I would be happy to review resumes. I know, Paul, you do a lot of mentorship too. All of us are here trying to help people in today's kind of mid-COVID world to get better at what they're doing. So.
Quick question for you before we wrap up.
Yeah.
So do it now. You're the president and whatever your title is at Foundry.
Yeah, president partner.
President partner at Foundry. And you go look at someone's LinkedIn profile. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for their impact. I'm looking for the impact that they've had in the jobs that they've worked for. I'm looking for the impact they have in the community. I'm looking for the impact that they have with their peers. And so everything from endorsements and recommendations and, and success stories and, overcoming things. Those are the types of things that I'm looking for. I hire for trajectory every time. I don't hire for necessarily where you're at. I'm hiring for where you're going to be 2 or 3 years in my organization, and because I'm looking for someone that is interested in that, not somebody who just wants to come in and fill a role in a seat. But again, my organization is different than, as you mentioned, a Best Buy or United Health Group or Humana or something like that. Those people that are interested in those jobs are interested in different things. So you have to tailor your profile and your resume towards what those people are looking for.
It's the idea that we need to remind ourselves that resumes and LinkedIn profiles are a marketing document.
Yep.
Like, it is the only job of my resume is to get you to call me back.
Yep.
That's it. So that's why it is the idea of you submit online or you go to LinkedIn or you're on the applicant tracking system. This is why I want people to follow up.
Yeah.
So maybe out of 20 times, I just cost you 2 opportunities because someone's going to be pissed that you actually did this.
Right.
I also think my track record shows that you're going to gain 3 or 4 more callbacks, though.
Yep.
And you probably would not have wanted to work at those 2 then anyway, if that's the way they are.
True.
But the 3 or 4 who are like, heck yeah, let's have a conversation. Let's get into this.
That's nice. All right, Paul. Well, we got to close it up. So if I want to know more, where can I find Paul and in all of his glory and all of his stuff he puts out there?
Well, no longer is it Lake Life because it's snowing and the dock got pulled in, so I'm in mourning. mnheadhunter.com. You can find me and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn from there. We'll go with that.
That's perfect. So for everybody watching, I want to thank Paul. Paul, you got to come back on the show. We'll keep this conversation going. I think it's never going to be a short subject. So,
by the way, I just looked at the clock and I think we went. Yeah, sorry.
We're good. No, we're good.
It's just that's how I roll, man.
It's all right. I've got a lot of good information today.
It's good to see you, friend.
Thanks, Paul. Okay, so everyone, I hope you had a good time learning from myself and Paul's rants about looking for jobs. So the thing I'll tell you is that we've got more shows coming up to help you find that next role or help you level up in your career. So if you like the show, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all the things that you're supposed to do and supposed to say. So I appreciate you taking the time. And once the video is done processing, I will put all the links that Paul had in his presentation into the show notes. I want to thank you again for joining me today. I really appreciate your time, and we'll see you on the next show.